God puts us in nations, in places, not by mistake, but to do a job. What if we opened our eyes to the needs of our colleagues, of our leaders, of our subordinates, and we were a priest on their behalf? Welcome to the Repurposing Business Podcast. My name is Brett Johnson.
And I'm Lynn Johnson.
And we're going to be talking about how to get our business into God's business. Our subtext is Let My Business Go, and we'll have guests from around the world. So thank you for joining us this week and every week on the Repurposing Business Podcast. This is Brett Johnson. Welcome to the Repurposing Business Podcast, and I'm excited today to have Kirsty Knott with us. Kirsty, where are you right now?
I am in Cape Town, South Africa, in my bedroom.
So there she is, sheltering in place. Actually, Cape Town is on a lockdown, right?
Yep, we are under lockdown, and we end in week 3, going into week 4.
Yeah. One of the things I love about South Africans is that they're super creative as to what they do during lockdown. And I said, you and your sister have been doing a bit of a series.
We have entered the TikTok world, which is meant to be for much younger people than us, but we are enjoying it. We've got to add some humor into our day.
Yeah,
so it's
fantastic.
good.
Yeah, good. And today's topic, we're going to actually be talking about sort of survival or revival. What happens with this whole coronavirus thing? What does it look like as we come out of that? And in particular, we're going to talk about some of the things we want to leave behind versus some of the things we want to take forward with us. And it certainly gives us a chance to think about these things. For some people, they battle to think about life after corona, like, will things go back to normal or not? And I know I was in a hardware store the other day, and people looking at each other with suspicion. They got their masks on, big signs, stay 6 feet away from each other. And it's almost like we're looking at people differently. So there's this longing to be with people, but are these people carriers of the virus? And I wonder how it's going to change the way we interact with each other. So Kirsty, I'm reminded a little bit of, for some people, they're even struggling, like, will we come out of this? Will we get back to life as normal? And I remember the story of the 4 lepers who were outside the city, and the city was starving. They had been besieged by an army. And eventually they decided, look, we're just going to go to the enemy camp, and we may as well, if we're going to die anyway. And they went there, and of course, God had sent the enemy away, and it was an abundance and so on. Are you finding that people are kind of battling to think about life after the coronavirus, or are they thinking about getting back to normal, or what do you see?
Well, I think there's a little bit of everything at the moment, and I guess it's all dependent on our perspective and what our reality is. But I think a lot of people are struggling to just kind of visualize what things are going to look like, because to think that things are going to go back to normal, I think, is it really? I don't think it's meant to go back to normal. Yeah. So, I think there's a lot of people that are afraid at the moment, and then there's a lot of people that are excited and using this time. So, I think there's a split between the two at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Have you seen, as you've chatted with your friends and so on, have you seen people resetting priorities based on this, or rethinking what's important or not important?
I think you would miss it if you don't do that, because it's such a beautiful opportunity to do that at the moment. I think everybody is. I mean, with readjusting, you've got to prioritize different. You've got to change the way you manage a day. So if you're staying with family like I am, our priorities have completely changed. I'm so used to normally being outside, not being with family at all. And now it's all about the people. So it's about, learning how to love and serve one another in this household. And then for others who are on their own, they've had opportunity to actually just be still and kind of get onto like more the creative side, really just sit and ask, okay, what now? What can I do in this time? So, I mean, I wrote about it the other day, but I really feel like this time is an opportunity time. And I'm seeing a lot of people take that, which is really exciting. new things are coming, definitely.
So have you rediscovered some things that you liked to do in the past that you've now had time to do?
Look, at the moment, I think it's been a little bit different. It's been more of a revealing and dealing season, which I thought that was already dealt with. So it's more been focusing on actually becoming more free, to be able to actually go and do all the things that are on my heart and to run, and not have anything held back. So that's more been the season that I've been in. But unfortunately, I haven't had as much time as I thought the lockdown was going to give me, because I'm working full time and I'm doing the course. But even in saying that, it has given me time to rest, time to read, time to actually get to know my family again, and time to write. And that's something that I really love. So yeah, it has given me a little bit of that.
Yeah. As you think about going forward, are there some things that you say, okay, just looking back, that was a bit of a waste of time, right? I was busying my life with these things and they're not really that important. So you don't plan to take them into the future.
I would say it's more like some of the mind perspectives and the way that I think that I'm leaving behind, more than anything else, and probably just managing what I love better and where I want to invest more time in, instead of just running around like a headless chicken and with nothing really coming from that. So it has made me think about, okay, what do I want to spend more time on? But I think for me at the moment, it's more about perspective that's changed. And it's more about my mindset and my heart space about things that need to stay behind.
So give me an example of a perspective that's changed, maybe. Can you do that?
Sorry, Brett, you broke up there. What did you say?
Can you give me an example of a perspective that has changed?
There's a few. I think it's finding like the hope, and it's finding and like cultivating hope and joy, even if you're stuck in a room for a month. It's finding like a place of being content, and still and still feeling like you've got impact, even if like all of your legs have pretty much been cut off, So I think it's more that it's really built like a steady hope and excitement in me, where, instead of being like consumed by chaos or like totally overtaken by fear or kind of freaking out, what are we going to do about work? What are we going back to? Instead of all of that, it's actually coming into a place of going, I'm actually fine. I'm in perfect peace. I'm content. I'm loved, and I am full of hope. So I think anything that comes against that is what you can leave behind. Like it can't steal that away.
So it sounds like you've become more attuned to just what it is that disturbs your equilibrium or your place of peace, and sort of battling against those things and staying in a place of rest and of peace.
That's it. Like I was thinking, I mean, when you send me the message about the topic, I think I first freaked out because I'm like, I don't know what that means. And then I remembered about our big weekend and how you spoke about like, anything that happens in life, you get to choose if it's going to work for good or if it's going to work for harm. And ultimately you're going to be this free person, or you're going to be held back by hurts, disappointments, all of these things. The list can go on. So I think that's the space that so many people are in right now. Like the Lord is really close, and he's really speaking to people about like, his love for them and what that actually looks like. And also just going, let's just tie up some loose ends, because that can no longer stay. We need to run, and there's things to do. Like in your book says, there's work to be done. So we need to deal with some things. So this lockdown has definitely opened that up for everyone, I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
It's interesting, the for harm or for good thing is a big deal,
Yeah,
right? Because bad stuff is happening to people in a way. But the
yeah,
question is it going to end up in the for harm bucket or the for good bucket? And
yeah,
so I'll actually post that diagram and get it out to people so they can think about it, because, stuff
yeah,
happens in life, and we can either blame God for this.
yeah,
We can get upset with him. We can blame the government. Why didn't we start preparations sooner? Why didn't you do this or whatever? Or you can say, okay, actually God is sovereign, and my
yeah,
response is the one thing that I can deal with, and
yeah,
and that has to do with keeping our filter clean, right? What's our view of God? Is God good? Is he good all the time? Does he love me? Does he care for me?
mm,
That's something that we can work on, is keeping the filter clean. We can't stop the stuff hitting the filter, but we can
yeah.
keep the filter clean. Yeah,
Yeah, but we know that for so many years or with our walk with the Lord, but only when it comes into situations like this where it's tested, you've actually got to, sit in it and be like, right, this is truth. So that's actually something that's so exciting.
yeah,
Like we're really going to walk out of this more self-aware, more aware of like who he actually is,
yeah.
and who we are because of that. So I think we're going to walk out of this a lot more mature, which is great.
Yes, yes, yeah. The other scripture that's been coming to my mind is running the race without entanglements, getting rid of the things that ensnare us, that get around our legs so we can't actually run, so that we can run the course that
Yeah.
God has for us. That sounds like that's been part of your experience.
Yeah, exactly. That's literally it. There's more important things that we need to do in this world.
Yeah,
We can't be held back by little things.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what are you doing, Kirsty, to kind of keep your focus out there, thinking about, okay, so how do I serve others? Because here you are in your room, you're dealing with your clients and so forth, but when you're not
Yeah.
working, and even when you are dealing with your clients, what are you doing to kind of keep your thoughts other focused on others rather than just yourself?
Well, look, I'm pretty connected with everybody all the time because of my job, and because of the course that I'm doing at the moment. So in both of those areas, like there is community.
Hmm.
I mean, I speak with my agents practically every day, which is great. And then with friends, look, I think we've got to just use what we have now.
Hmm.
So it's staying connected like we're doing right now.
Yeah,
And seeing each other's face is so much better than chatting over WhatsApp or anything like that. But yeah, the only way is to just stay connected and keep in touch. But I found a lot of people are actually just having a moment to rest.
hmm,
And sometimes being online all the time is a little bit tough. It's
yeah,
like a different kind of energy that's needed,
yeah,
definitely. But yeah, it's staying online.
yeah,
That's really the only way that you can kind of just, yeah,
yeah.
keep the connection at the moment.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So what would you say to somebody who's in this particular season is saying, look, I'm struggling to kind of deal with some of the junk in the trunk, and that's kind of making me feel like I wish this was just all over. What would you say to somebody like that?
Oh, I would say don't be afraid of the junk in the trunk. um, I don't know, because it is scary. I think it's scary to face those things. And it's scary to see, like, yeah, to see all of it and have to kind of go back into it. But yeah, I wouldn't be afraid of it because, yeah, the Father is loving and he won't reveal something without dealing with it with you, like that's really something I found which has been so comforting. It's not like, here it is, you're on your own, deal with it. It's like, okay, I'm revealing this thing because it's an appropriate time for it, because you're ready to face it, and then I'm right here to deal with it. And you find so much of the time isn't actually like some really hot sauce sitting there wondering what to do. It's actually just such a sweet journey to be on with him.
Yeah.
He's really loving and comforting,
Yeah. Mm.
So yeah, I would tell people, don't be afraid. I would tell them to go for it.
Yeah.
And I would remind them that he is a loving father and he's going to pretty much do most of the work.
Yeah.
You've just got to be aware and
Yeah.
you've just got to be willing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Interesting. You remind me of that diagram in the Convergence book, which I'll post. But that came about because somebody had a dream, and had a dream about me. And in the dream, I had a wound above one of my eyes, and the wound hadn't healed, and it had been some time back. And I shared that dream with a few friends, and then a lady that we know in mutual, she came back and she said, yeah, this is what I think it means. And what God spoke to me was about a hurt that had happened 20 years prior, maybe. And said I hadn't processed it properly. And I needed, the process that I had to do was to write down everything I believed about myself and about him. And so I wrote a document just for myself called I Believe. And at the end of that time, I was reading in Isaiah, and it says in the end of Isaiah, and in him, no wound was found, or no wound was found in him. And God said to me, okay, it's done. It took a month for me. That was my process. I didn't go see a shrink. I didn't pray with a friend. I didn't do anything. I just documented what God was saying about him and about me. And that was it. Yeah. So each one's process will be a bit different.
It's so good. He doesn't lead you without a strategy. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's interesting, in this season we have the opportunity either just to be thinking survival, will I run out of my favorite food, and will I run out of toilet paper, will I run out of resources, out of grace, what will my emotions be like, and I can't wait to just get back on the treadmill. And others will be thinking, no, the treadmill actually is not what I want to get back on. I want to get rid of some of that stuff. I don't want things to ensnare me, to entangle me, so that I can go forward. And what I found is that sometimes things that I thought were assets in a past season of life become a liability in the future. And this is a chance for me to sit down with God and say, okay, asset or liability? Is this a debit or a credit? Do I want to take this forward, or do I want to leave it behind? It's a unique opportunity for us to say, it's a great excuse. Okay, I used to be that way. I used to be so busy with this and that, but going forward, I'm actually going to protect my calendar, or I'm going to focus on these things. I'm going to write more. I'm going to stay more connected with my family, whatever the things might be. And so we have that opportunity to think through those. We have those choices now. It's just a wonderful press pause where we're able to reevaluate. Yeah. So Kirsty, thank you for coming on, and thank you for sharing your story. I appreciate it. And we've always got to have the millennial perspective, or the next generation perspective. Is that right?
We do. Well, thanks for having me, Grace. It's always good to see your face.
Lovely to see you too. And stay well in Cape Town, and we'll have you on again in the near future. Okay. Blessings to you. Okay, folks, so that's it for today. For next week, we'll be seeing you again, and we'll be picking up another topic. Thanks to Kirsty Knott for joining us. Kirsty trains travel agents, in case you wondered, in South Africa. She does amazing tours to Mauritius, and recently Lynn and I went for our 40th work anniversary, and Kirsty took us there, and fabulous to see her. So Kirsty, thank you so much for being on.